guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with an exciting video of the perfect fall romances. Now, do not yell at me. I know fall has not officially started yet, but once September hits, it is fall in my household. We already put out all of our decorations, and I am so in the mood for very fall things. So for me in the fall, I get in the mood for spooky, paranormal, or fantasy, and I also am in the mood for historicals. I'm not going to include any historicals on this list though, because I feel like that's like a personal thing. Like, I just want to read all the historical romances right now, but I do have a bunch of atmospheric reads I'm excited to share with you, and I do have my new folklore sweatshirt on from Taylor Swift that has The One on the back, which is my favorite song from the album, and I feel like this was just very fall. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my recommendations, and one of the first ones I have is actually a Why Choose Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's very atmospheric because she, just like in Beauty and the Beast, has to trade herself with her father who gets kidnapped and stuck in this like crumbling down castle, and the castle is run by these four princes who are cursed. They turn into beasts every night, and that happens. Everybody in the castle turns into like different animals every night, and she has to help them break the curse by finding their fated mates before something happens. So they were all cursed, and that is Bonded by Thorns by Elizabeth Helen. I didn't realize I never showed this to you, but this is Beauty and the Beast Why Choose. It's really fun. I just love the whole fantastical element of this, and I feel like Beauty and the Beast being trapped in this castle and having these curses and these four princes who are the four seasons is just very fall to me. So I had a lot of fun reading this. This does end on a cliffhanger, so I can't wait to read the next one, but just from the beginning, it felt very fall to me, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Another author, which is more of a like light touch of fantasy that I definitely recommend reading, and I feel like she's so fall. So we have Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This one, she can see ghosts, and it really is a heavier book because her dad passes away, and it revolves around her family like visiting her hometown and going to the funeral. So she's having a lot of trouble writing, and she has a new like editor or agent or something, and she has to go home for her dad's funeral and sees her like editor slash agent as a ghost, and now she's like, oh crap, he's dead. And so they start spending time together, and she really likes him, and so the whole ghost element I think is perfect for fall. But we also have The 7-Year Slip by her, which is a magical apartment where the apartment slips back in time. So she is in the present day, and she inherits it from her grandmother who passed away, and then sees a man there who lived there and sublet the apartment 7 years ago. And so she's freaked out. She doesn't want anything to do with him, but then she realizes that she kind of likes him. They start spending time together in the past, and then she runs into him in the present through her job. He knows how everything's played out. She does not. She hasn't lived everything yet because she's in the future living through the past, and he's lived all of that already. So this one is so good, and I love it. I love the touch of magic her books have, and her next one sounds so good, so I cannot wait to read more from her, but she's definitely an author to read in the fall. Another one I have is another ghost romance. It's Four Psychos by Christy Cunning. I've only read the first two books in this series, but they are so good. It's Why Choose. She is a ghost, and they are like demon hunters, and she's trapped in their house. She's been trapped there, I think, for a couple years before they can actually see her, and then they can see her, and they're like, oh my god, who are you? And then it unravels who she is because she doesn't even know. She has amnesia. She doesn't know who she was before she showed up as a ghost in their house. So I love this. Lots of action and adventure too, and unraveling who she is, and cliffhangers at the end of each book, but they're very quick. This is the author who wrote the Mind F series, so I highly recommend checking the series out if you like that series. Another one that I have is a book I didn't finish, but not because I didn't like it. I was reading it, I think, last Halloween, and I got some arcs and I had to put it down and completely forgot to pick it back up, and by then it was like November, December, and I was like, I'm not in the mood for a spooky book anymore, but I definitely want to go back to it. That's Hollow Heathens by Nicole Fiorina. This is so spooky and like so perfect for fall season because this girl goes to this town, and it basically like doesn't let her leave, and there are these guys who it's like presumed if you look them in the face you literally die. So it was really a cool setup, and obviously she's gonna fall in love with one of those guys, and I really liked it because then there was someone who turned up dead, and they have to investigate like who did it. This is really fun, really spooky town, and like I said, I'm gonna go back and reread the beginning because I don't remember too much about the beginning, and continue this book because I think it was perfect for the fall season. If you can't tell, I've been in the mood for Why Choose, so the next one's also a Why Choose series, and that is this series, which I always forget the name of, Supernaturals of Castle Academy. The first one is Legacy of Shadows. Book 3 actually just came out on the 6th, and the series is so good, so it's complete now. You can binge it all. They do end on cliffhangers until book 3, but these are paranormal Paranormal Fated Mates Why Choose, and I love a good paranormal romance during this time. So we have a wolf shifter, we have some dragon shifters, we have a succubus kind of being, I forget if that's what they call him. We have a warlock, and so she grew up in an abusive household once her dad passed away, and her mom's not nice, and her mom has really bad boyfriends. So her childhood best friend comes back and says, I'm here to save you. And he takes her off to this mansion that he's living at with his best friends. There are 5 fated mates in here, and she is slowly thrown into this like magical world and unraveling if she has powers too. And it's so good, very action-packed as Lily's tail goes by the screen. Hi. They are bored and want my attention. But I love the series so much. Highly recommend checking it out, and it's finished now, so you can binge them. They're very quick. The audiobooks are amazing. If you're in the mood for a really good fantasy, highly recommend reading The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. If you have not yet, one of my favorite fantasies of last year. Vampire-based, very fast-paced. I think I read it in like a day and a half, and it's a thick one. I was so obsessed with this book. And the heroine doesn't have magic, but she's entered into this tournament, and her dad's actually like the vampire king, and she's fighting against all these vampires, teams up with this one guy, obviously starts falling for him, and it's so good. I should probably reread this before book 2 because I very vividly remember the end, but like not too much of the rest of the book, so I'll probably have to reread this before diving into book 2, which I haven't read yet, but so good. If you have not yet picked it up, now is the perfect time to start the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. I definitely need to get back into the series. I think I have like 4 or 5 to catch up on. It's a very long series, but the first like 7 to 10 are amazing. And you can honestly stop there if you need to, if you're not feeling it anymore, because my favorite couples are in the first 10 books, I think. I don't remember when Manny's book is, but his is either 10 or 11, I think. And he was my last like favorite hero of the series up until like now, because it just keeps on going on and on and on. But I have not yet read Lassiter's books. I'm very excited for it. These are vampire books, and there are these beings that like try to kill vampires. They have to protect their town and people that they love. Very damaged heroes, and so much history between them, and it's so good. It is going to be a movie by Passionflix, which makes me a little nervous how they're going to do this series. I was hoping like HBO or someone would pick it up because I wanted them to have like a big budget and really good actors, but we'll see. If you have not read the series yet though, now is the time to start it because it is a classic, and I feel like no matter when you read it, you're gonna love it because I didn't feel like it was too aged. I mean, like the fashion kind of is, but it was in 2005, but I feel like paranormal romances are timeless. Another one that's very atmospheric is Be Still My Heart by Savar Miller and Emily McIntyre. This is a romantic suspense, and the hero is very reclusive. The town is just a little spooky. It's just, there's a haunted lighthouse that's owned by this guy whose daughter disappeared, and they think that he did it, and so the hero lives in this very tiny cabin in the woods, and he works on, I think this like lobster boat or fishing boat, and he finds a body. The heroine had just come back from being kidnapped by a serial killer, and she was fascinated. She was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, she is a detective, and she specializes in serial killers, so being kidnapped by one, which is fascinating to her. Obviously it was terrifying, and she's got a lot to go through, but she is hired as a detective on this case to figure out where this body came from and who murdered it, because they think it might be a serial killer in this small town. She's gonna fall in love with the guy who found the body. They clash a lot, but it's really fun, and I really enjoy this as a romantic suspense. And if you want that kind of like thrillery aspect to your fall reads, read this one. This all has a romance in it. The last 3 I have are ones that are pretty popular, so this is if you are kind of newer to the genre and you're like, I have no idea where to start. If you have not yet read Gothicana, read this book. This is so spooky and atmospheric. It takes place at this college. He is a music professor and she's one of the students there. Very creepy. That's all I want to say about the plot, but if you haven't read it yet, do, because this is like a staple for fall romance reading. These are going to progressively get darker, so if you want to go a little darker, if you have not yet read the Devil's Night series, this is perfect to read during the fall time because it's very spooky as well. They have Devil's Night where the guys who graduated from the high school come back to like wreck the town, and our heroine is involved in that, and they play scary games like trapping her in the dark kind of thing, and she's falling in love with a guy who is the older brother of a guy she's supposed to be dating. So really love this one. And we also flashed to, I have not read this series in so long. Oh my gosh. I was reading these when they came out. So last time I read this was 2015. I should reread this series, honestly. But they, half of them are in jail now and blame her for it. So they want revenge. Such a good series. I loved it. The Fourth book was not my favorite, but I loved 1, 2, and 3. And the last one, if you're really in for a spooky time, read Haunting Adeline. This is a stalker romance. He stalks her, he's obsessed with her, does some dark things to her, shows up in her bedroom unannounced, chops off the hands of anybody who touches her. Like, this is dark. And I heard book 2 is darker. So this one wasn't like the most dark book I've ever read, and I was expecting it to be more dark. But by the ending of this one, I'm like, oh, I see where the book is going, and I am assuming this is going to happen in the next one. So I definitely want to read the next one. Definitely recommend the audio. Teddy Hamilton is the narrator, and he does such a good job. But I did give this 4 stars. I think it's a really good just stalker romance if that's what you're into and you want to read some dark romance during spooky season and want to be a little bit scared because she lives alone. And there's also this kind of mystery revolving around her, I think it was her grandmother too, that she's like revealing these like letters that her grandmother had a stalker too, which is really fun. I like that aspect. And those are some fall romance recommendations, whether you want a little bit of light fantasy, whether you want some dark, or just very atmospheric spooky reads. That's what I have for you. Let me know if you want a separate thriller video. I have read quite a few thrillers, and I don't know when the last time I've done a thriller recommendation video, so if you want that, let me know. But these are romances that are perfect to read in the fall season. Let me know if you have any recommendations that I have to read. I would love to hear, and that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.